接下来的报告嘉宾是联合国教科文组织国际教育局高级专家 Renato Alpati 先生。自2006年以来 ，Renato Alpati 先生一直担任 IBE 的项目专家。目前，他负责协调课程、学习和评估计划中的创新和领导力。他负责的 IBE 项目为教科文组织的会员国和区域的课程更新和发展提供了重要的支持。下面有请 Renato Alpati 先生在线做题为“后疫情时代课程转型”的主体报告。Please welcome Mr. Renato Alpati to deliver his keynote speech, Curriculum Transformation in the Post-Pandemic Era. 大家掌声欢迎。
Mr. Renato, please open your video. Microphone, sorry, microphone.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you.
Yeah, can you see the slides, please?
Please make the presentation mode, your slides.
Okay, perfect, yeah. Now, okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Let me first express our gratitude to Beijing Normal University and Institute for Information Technology Education, for UNESCO, our colleagues and friends from UNESCO and from Beijing Normal University for this opportunity for IB, on behalf of our director, Dr. Ido Yao, our gratitude to all of you for this opportunity to reflect on some issues relating to the curriculum transformation and what we have heard until now in the conference is very much aligned with what IB, UNESCO, and UNESCO as a whole is reflecting on education today and on the transformation of education through the transformation of curriculum. So let me, our presentation will focus on how we can provide some input, some clues, some ideas to reflect on the transformation of curriculum in the post-pandemic era. So at the beginning, we'd like to emphasize one key element. Before the pandemic, we all know that disruption was there. Disruption was about systemic.
Excuse me, Renato, can you please make the
very profound changes,
mode?
very much related, as colleague Beijing has said. There is an audio there that doesn't. Yeah, maybe. So now you listen. Yeah, before the pandemic, we all know about disruption, and we associate disruption, as our colleagues from Beijing Normal University and our colleagues from other Chinese units and settings have said, was related to the fourth industrial revolution. Disruption was about systemic, profound, and predictable complex change before the pandemic. But now, we are not only facing that disruption, fourth revolution, but also we are thinking our sustainability of the planet. I mean, the problem today is not only about disruption related to the fourth industrial revolution, but also disruption related to changes in our lifestyles. If we don't change our lifestyles, if we don't change our civilizing lifestyles, there is no future. There is no future for mankind, and there is no future for our new generations, for the kids and the young people and the adolescents we are living today. So the challenge today is not only about disruption pre-pandemic, it's about disruption related to rethinking our lifestyles as humanity, as a planet. So that implies a big change for education and a big change to rethink curriculum, to educate our new generations for more sustainable, for more fair, for more inclusive, and more Pacific futures. I mean, we have to build our futures, and we need to rethink education and curriculum to build that futures. So this is a top political and a policy priority. We need to understand the scope and the profound of the change we have to face. And the UN summit coming now some weeks ahead, and the pre-summit organized by UNESCO on transforming education highlight that issue about the profound understanding of the change we have to face in order to educate the new generation for sustainable, better futures. So, IB, International Bureau of Education, UNESCO, but UNESCO as a whole. What we have understand, what we have learned from the pre-pandemic lens in terms of curriculum today. When we go to the pre-pandemic, we have mapped what are the main tendencies regarding to understanding of curriculum and the understanding of curriculum within education. And we have identified 6 interconnected understanding. The first is that a curriculum is about society. Curriculum reflects and develops what kind of education we need to achieve the social aspirations, the social ideas, the social imaginaries that we pursue. Always when we discuss curriculum in education, we are discussing society, and that implies ideological and programmatic consideration. That's the societal lens.
Hello, Renato. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
We are still seeing the attitude more. So could you reshare the PPT? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Could you reshare the PPT again, because we didn't see your slides move. We only see the first page.
Now you see?
No, still the first page. Could you stop sharing and just sharing again?
Okay, perfect, no problem.
Okay, now is the page 2.
Yeah? You see page 2?
And yes, and your mouse, can you click to, how about just in this way and go next by next?
Now you see the one about understanding of curriculum?
No, I still at this page 2.
Let me check. Maybe I will put again the slide.
Yes, please do.
The sharing. Let me check. Now?
Yeah. It's coming up, and let's make it a challenge. And
you see the...
Yes, that's perfect.
Now you see the slide?
Yes, perfect. Please continue.
Yes, I see that you see the same slide. So,
yeah, great.
So we have the first one is about society understanding, about how curriculum reflects social aspiration and social ideals. And this implies a very ideological pragmatism. The second understanding of curriculum is about the holistic understanding of curriculum. Curriculum contributes to the comprehensive formation of the person through the diversification of learning experience. I mean, the idea that curriculum is about the comprehensive formation, and that for educating that student as a person, we need to take care and respond to their aspirations, to their motivation, to their interests, to their context, and to the holistic understanding of the curriculum. The third one is the STEM understanding of curriculum. Curriculum is a driver of quality education, because curriculum is a tool for sustaining and for developing educational policy. You can't have educational policies without curriculum, and you need educational policies to support the development of the curriculum. Next slide is about the equity and the curriculum connects. It's a big connection between the for what, the how, the when, and the where. to educate, to learn, and to assess, to ensure that every learner matters equally. That's the equitable understanding of curriculum. Then you have the Biden understanding of curriculum. Curriculum is a sort of different dimension going together. Curriculum is about the written curriculum, the scripted curriculum, the frameworks, the documents, the syllabus, the implemented curricula, what really happens in the classroom. But you have something very important, that's the negotiated curriculum, how the curricula is mediated through the system, how curriculum developers understand curriculum, how policy planners understand curriculum, how pedagogical advisors, how principals understand curriculum, how the curriculum negotiated in the school. Then you have the perceived curriculum, how curricula is perceived by teachers. What is the understanding of teachers of a curriculum? What's the connection between curriculum and teachers? Then you have something that's very important, the curriculum experience, how the curriculum is experienced by learners, how learners experience the curriculum. They find the curricula friendly, connected, empathic, related to their motivation, to their needs, to their engagement. Then you have the achieved curricula. The curricula that is effectively developed in terms of competencies and learning outcomes. Then you have the hidden curricula that is not written. It's the curricula and the assumptions that are underlying all the mindsets, all the understanding of the people working in the school. If, for example, we all have the same understanding about how learning is taking place, if you have the same understanding what are the potentiality of each learners. And then you have the forgotten curricula. The curricula that was written in the paper, that was written in the documents, but never arrived to the classrooms. Many times in curriculum we have very nice principles. Sustainability, approach, but then you go to the classroom and they're not present there. And finally, the other perspective we have at IB UNESCO is about the educator's understanding. Curriculum is sustained, is grounded on educators. Power. The main in the school, in the classroom, is the teacher. So we understand teachers as classroom policy makers and as co-developers of the curriculum. Teachers doesn't implement curricula. Teachers understand, highlighted as educators, co-develop the curriculum. And as our friends from Beijing Normal University have said about technology and the impacts on learners and teachers before us, we are talking about this new partnership, this new arrangement between educators and co-agents in learners. I mean, teachers and learners as partners in the learning process. So these are the 6 understandings that we have seen mapped at UNESCO: the society understanding, the holistic understanding, the systemic understanding, the equity understanding, the different dimensions of the curriculum, and then the educators, part of the curriculum process. So, next slide. When it arrives the pandemic, start reflecting about different, to support countries, to support member states of UNESCO. That we have 10 points of entrance to reflect and to rethink on curriculum. Third one, very clear understanding and bringing to the fore the younger generations. Education is not about the syllabus. It's not about the study programs. The point of departure of curriculum is the younger generations. It's their aspiration, their expectations, their future. So we need to understand much better, much more. And UNESCO today, with UNESCO youth engagement and the youth participation in pre-summit, been led by UNESCO, and the summit coming in New York. Young people have taken a very important voice. We need to put much on their vulnerability, their expectation. And to educate the new generations into more sustainable, into more health, into more socially automatization, to the impacts of the disruption associated to rethinking our lifestyles. And if we want to rethink our lifestyles, we have to educate our new generation for a new lifestyles, for new lifestyles. So this implies rethinking the connection, the empathic, the substantial reconnection between learners and teachers in the schools. And we need to understand that competencies that we have discussed with different about competencies mean the for learners to understand and to respond to problems, to challenges, to situations. We have to understand that learners have to develop personal competencies, confidence, trust, interpersonal competencies, the way we connect to the other ones, the other ones, and social competence, that is our solidarity, our cooperation, our understanding of society. And this goes together. We have to educate new generations for personal, interpersonal, and social competencies to support learning. The second is about vulnerability. I mean, vulnerability is not only social or economic vulnerability, it's also pedagogical curriculum vulnerability. We need to understand that if we want to address vulnerability in education and in the curriculum, we need to have an intersectoral and institutional approach. It's about understanding that education is an economic policy, it's a social policy, it's a cultural policy, it's a communitarian policy, it's a citizenship policy. So we need to put this idea of intersectorality, of interinstitutional approaches together. And we need to be very clear on the idea that we have to have a common curriculum approach to develop the potentiality of the person from age 0 onwards. I mean, education is about untapping the potentialities of each learner. Each one of us has its own excellence, has its own capacity, and the system has to understand its capacity, has to understand each learner, and respond to that need. So we can have a very transformative, holistic public policy perspective. I mean, we need to have much more holistic, interconnected public policies to address vulnerability. The first clue is about reinforcing understanding between schools and family. I mean, the pandemic has shown us the critical role of schools as agents of socialization. And we have seen in different countries, in different regions, in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, in Europe, in Arab states, that there is a greater appreciation by parents of the role of teachers. And we have the possibility of promoting renewed ways of collaboration and family engagement between teachers, learners, principals, families, communities. But that implies facilitating, and our colleague has said that, facilitating the access to educational resources and connectivity. Now UNESCO is saying that the right of education is the right to education, the right to learning, the right to information, the right to knowledge, and the right to free connectivity in education. So we have to ensure that our kids in different countries, in different regions, have the possibility of access to free online resources, right to education. And also we have to close the gaps, the gaps between the different generations. And we have to move to much more personalized education. And technology, as our colleague has said, can play a big role in strengthening personalization, not only personalized teaching and learning and assessment, but also personalizing the relationship between schools, families, and communities. Clue number 4 is about deepening local education. I mean, Education today is about the integration between the global and the local perspective. The pandemic has showed us that we are all part of the same planet and that we need to have global responses locally making sense. So we have to connection the nearness presence across cultures, local construction, global understanding, and local contextualization. And that implies putting the emphasis on analyzing thematics and issues beyond the disciplinary boundaries. I mean, disciplines are tools to understand issues, to understand thematics, to understand themes, but we need to be very clearly that today we need much more transdisciplinary approaches that integrate disciplines to make sense to respond to challenges and situations. And that implies deepening a global local education that we put students at the forefront as protagonists of their present and their future. Clue number 5, about the focus on the person. One of the issues that many times in education, in the curriculum, we lost the person because we are so much related to disciplines, to our system, that we lost the person. And whole of us is unique, and the fact us. So what we need to do, one other things, we think that we have to integrate findings from different disciplines: neuroscience, cognitive psychology, science of education, artificial intelligence, anthropology, philosophy. Integrate disciplines to understand better learners and learning, because learners and learning are not going to be understood by disciplines, by silos approaches. We need to integrate findings from different disciplines to know much better how we learn, how we connect to the other man, how we are to the other persons. So that implies for us, dear colleagues and dear friends of education, trying to reconnect in a different way the different educational levels, provision, settings, and disciplines. Shall we keep our education fragmented in primary, basic, secondary, technical education? Or shall we feel a new way of educating that is much more related to the age cycles? And maybe we can talk about education from 3 to 18, removing boundaries between educational levels, provision, settings, and this. Are we, in order to highlight the students, to remove barriers? And the barriers are coming from us, are coming many times. Values are complementary. Inclusion and cohesion, excellence and equity goes hand in hand. It's about integrating values, reinforcing commonalities among all of us, and acknowledging differences. Because values is about commonalities and also about differences. And that implies putting much more connected curriculum and pedagogy. Because why is that? Because we have to connect much more the for what and the what to educate and to learn with how we do it. So we need a much more profound reconnection between curriculum and pedagogy. Clue number 7 is about appreciating diversity. I mean, curriculum have to be able to recognize and to appreciate diversity. Diversity is about individual diversity, it's about social diversity, it's about cultural diversity, it's about affiliation diversity. But diversity is a window of opportunity for democratization of learning. I mean, if we know much more the diverse people we have in the schools, we are much more prepared to respond to their needs and their expectations. So we state that inclusive education for UNESCO. We have our friends here that can further elaborate on that. For us, every learner is unique. For UNESCO, every learner is special. We don't have categories of special and non-students. All students are special. And for taking that into board, taking that into into understanding of us, we need to much more put emphasis a tool and for supporting to overcome binary thinking and action. It's not about talking about normal and non-normal students, special non-special students. All students are unique and need a customized, personalized response. But also diversity is not only about learners. We have diversity in teachers. So we have to see how that interaction between the diversity of perspectives of teachers and learners go hand in hand. We have to also understand teachers from an angle of diversity. Clue number 8 is about valuing freedom. Freedom to think, freedom to reflect, autonomous thinking. Because many times we talk about competence, about creativity, we talk about critical thinking, we talk about competencies that are related to the person, but the person to develop those competencies need to be freely expressed. So education has to a point of end, and that have to have teachers open to promote learners' freedom. And that is a very key test for a progressive curriculum, a curriculum that mainstream the freedom of learners to think, to react, to respond to different challenges, and that implies promoting learners intellectual for the competence related to creativity, to critical thinking, to empathic understanding of society, etc. Clue number we have already talked about is about moving towards hybrid modes of education. Hybridization of education implies many things. It's about building an ecosystem. It's about integrating and finding out the commonalities and the synergies between in-person and distance education and distance education as complementary to support learners and learning. So for that, we have to put much more emphasis in developing teachers and learners' competencies as going hand in hand. We shall not assume that every learner is digitally fitted or teachers are digitally fitted. No, that is a more pedagogical discussion. We need to in learners within an educational vision. Technology is part of an educational vision. Technology doesn't make any sense if it is not embedded in understanding of education. So for that, we have to enhancing teachers' opportunities to produce and an in-depth revision of the curriculum to reimagine the future. So, are we listening well? Okay. Clue number 10 is about inspiring affection for teachers as educators. One of the things that the pandemic has shown to all of us, that we have to explore the unknowns. The bottom-up approach has emerged as very important. Education is about combination, about the top and bottom-up approaches. But the pandemic has shown us the importance of giving teachers responsibility, empowering teachers as educators to find solutions, to find alternatives to enhance and to ensure learning. So we are in a dilemma today. Our friend, in the comfort zone of the pre-pandemic period. we need to put much more emphasis that the curriculum has to be rethought in order to build the new sustainability for the future of new generations. And that implies putting a much more emphasis on educators, on teachers as educators, for taking a leading role on that. Because it's not about a student or a teacher's focus on the communication. It's we are working with UNESCO towards a renewed curriculum agenda. Are we listening well? Can you check? Are you listening? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So we entered the last...
But it's possible that you can finish it probably earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We are finishing with the post-pandemic.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Be